Hi, just a little disclaimer at the beginning. This is a group project. I'm doing it solo despite my best efforts to reach out to my classmates because they never reached out back to me. I profess your approval. I will attach the email as proof. Anyhow, let's get started. How often do you think about where your electricity comes from? Do you know what generates your electricity in the USA? These are important questions we have to ask ourselves as the world gets more turbulent from war, climate change, and environmentalism. These are things we will have to ask ourselves, and these questions will shape the future of the world in the next couple decades. Nuclear energy should be important to us. I know it's important to me. I grew up across the water from a nuclear power plant, and I always knew it was there. I always knew it was safe, and I always knew it was important that it was there for me and for my community. Coming back to my point about where it comes from, the U.S. Energy Information Administration in 2023 says that the U.S. alone consumes only 9% in consumer energy in nuclear power. 38% of that is petroleum, 36% of that is natural gas, and those are what makes up fossil fuels. So, I would like to inform you people about nuclear power. Nuclear power is seen as negative when it should be seen as positive, and how we make things positive for people is we inform them. So, you should know that nuclear is clean, it is safe and well handled, it leads to energy security, and it creates jobs. Let's get into how nuclear energy works. Nuclear energy is just steam at the end of the day. Nuclear fission is the process that nuclear power plants do. They split uranium atoms and plutonium atoms by breaking the nucleus barrier of said atom. And to do that, there are three different ways. One, for the World Nuclear Association 2005, is by taking an isotope, a radioactive isotope, from one of those atoms I listed and shooting them at each other. Two, for the same association in 2005, you can compress the radioactive materials enough to they split. And three, for science.org in 2000, you can successfully fire a laser at them, causing them to split through a process called photolysis. Well, no matter which method you do, you gather up all the atoms in a small, tight area, and as you do your method to split them, one will split, it will bounce off the walls or whatever and hit the other atoms, causing them to split, and causing more and more of them to split, and so on. Well, as they split, heat releases from said atoms. The heat will rise up, it will boil water, which will create steam, coming back to the point about steam, which will rise up itself to turn turbines that would create kinetic energy and converts to electricity. And have you ever thought about electricity as being unclean? No, I don't think you have. Well, nuclear energy is also clean energy. It's a very low producer of greenhouse gases. Per the National Grid Company in 2024, nuclear energy produces nearly zero carbon dioxide or other greenhouse gases. Per the same National Grid Company, they also say that it avoids producing air pollutants like fossil fuels do. But when we think of something being clean, we also think of it as being safe, right? Well, nuclear energy is safe. It generates low amount of waste. Waste can be classified into three groups: low level waste, intermediate level waste, and high level waste, per the World Nuclear Association in 2024. But also per the World Nuclear Association in 2024, a 1 gigawatt power plant station serving 1 million people only produces 3 cubic meters of high level waste each year. Well, said waste that I mentioned is classified based on the amount of time it takes for the radioactivity to dissipate. And radioactivity decays with time, so we have to have storage methods that can handle said time. Per the World Nuclear Association in 2025, nuclear waste is either recycled by reusing the fuel rods after treating them to go back to the power plants, held in wet or dry storage for the low level and intermediate level waste, or put in underground repositories for the high level waste. Those repositories are earthquake proof and time proof, rated for thousands of years. So we handle that stuff pretty well. And now you may ask, but what about during transportation? What if I accidentally hit a truck with nuclear waste on it? Well, they conducted tests. At the Old Dalby nuclear crash test in 1984, they determined that these storage containers used for nuclear waste can handle high level impacts. They ran them through a bunch of high level impact tests, including taking a storage container and running a train at it. The storage container won. That train got wrecked. So Now you know that nuclear energy disposal is safe and well handled, but it also makes our nation safe through net nuclear for energy security. And energy security is important to national security. Energy security is the uninterrupted availability of energy sources at an affordable price. And that means being able to withstand hits to the global supply chain for war or for resource limitation. Well, in 2024, the World Nuclear Association said that only 30 tons of nuclear fuel is needed to power a 1 gigawatt plant for a whole year. And the uranium in the US and in the world is abundant. The US alone has 1%, 70,000 tons of it, of the world's supply. And nuclear power plants are also reliable and long term. Per the World Nuclear Association in 2024, power plants will last 60 plus years. In nuclear energy, not just the energy is secure, so are the jobs. Nuclear energy creates jobs with job security. The American Nuclear Society in 2021 said that above all, nuclear energy is a job creating powerhouse. They also said that a typical plant provides a livelihood for more than 1,000 employees and contractors. And those nuclear jobs aren't going anywhere. Society needs energy to be industrialized like we are, and it costs money and time to build power plants. And investors aren't just going to back out of that once they get started. So there will always be jobs in nuclear energy, and not just in nuclear energy, in the support industries like building and maintaining infrastructure, mining the fuel for the power plants, transporting and disposing the waste, and for the engineers and scientists who will design and create the future of nuclear energy. Per Nicholas Watson and Lucy Aston from the International Atomic Energy Association, 30 million new jobs around the globe will be needed as nuclear energy rises up. So, as we can see, nuclear energy is clean, safe, leads to energy security, and creates jobs. There have been accidents in the past, of course, just like all energy sources, but with proper standards and care, we can keep things safe just like we have for the past 60 years. And like former US Representative Connor Lamb said back in 2020, when he was talking about the future of America, we will need nuclear energy now, and we will need it in the future. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.